Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Everyone checking in on the sector. So for this week, we're going to be looking at some OTC names, and the difference is the fact that Canada was closed today, so the US charts have more data on them and useful data. So if you're only looking at the Canadian MJ tickers, you're missing 20% of this week's action. So again, we have to keep our eyes on both, but for today, I'm going to be charting the OTC names, which generally have less volume, but today is a bit different. So we have CGC confirming the daily bear flag. We saw the weakness on the bounce. We dropped down and broke to a lower low. We filled the gap. We hit that gap to the penny and then bounced over 1%. So that was a nice short-term trade off that gap. I had a bull trade of CGC today, just a flip, and it was building this base of 43.02. I was sitting there to look to begin scaling into hourly oversold conditions as the hourly RSI was in the low 20s at this point. I was waiting for a break of 43. Sat there with my order filled out, ready to touch the button. We never broke 43. As soon as I saw the double bottom of 43.02 and then the break of the 5-minute lower highs, I entered on this break of 43.14. From there, I patiently waited. And again, the entirety of my trade game plan was based on the hourly time frame. The hourly oversold RSI, and I took profit because the hourly chart was just looking for a lower high, and I wanted to protect against the possibility of a bear flag, which is what it ended up shaping up as. So I ended up exiting in the 43.50s, and it was 3/4 of a day maker at that point, and I had a smaller position than my normal day trading positions. The reason being, I was planning on scaling in. If I entered on that bull break and we dropped down under 43, I would have added a little bit because the hourly RSI would have still been overextended. That didn't happen, so I just sold into the strength, and I'll start with a fresh clean slate tomorrow. 4-hour RSI at this point is approaching oversold. So if we break 43 tomorrow, we're going to be watching for the potential of another oversold bounce. The next support is 43 and 42 psychological, and we're looking for the bulls to at least get a more significant daily bounce compared to 39.66, which is key weekly support to try and maintain a higher low. So the big question tomorrow is, for these names, we had weak names and we had strong names today. For the strong names, is the Canadian side of things taking profit? Some of these tickers are going to see, like OGI, is going to see potentially a 4 to 5% gap up open. Is the selling pressure on the Canadian side of profit taking, is that going to be offset by buying on the US side because OGI is going to be uplisted tomorrow? Or is that selling pressure going to lead to profit taking? Likewise, with a weak close on CGC, WEED is going to see a 3% gap down open depending on what CGC does tomorrow pre-market. The question is, will bulls buy that gap down open, or will we see further profit taking? So we have to see between the two sides across the border who is doing what, and it's a balancing act. We now have to see things balance out as we didn't see Canada trade today. So I am not interested in CGC unless we see a flush under 43 and 4-hour oversold conditions, and that hourly RSI will be right back to oversold as well if we break 43. Cron still holding that swing position at this point. Bulls have to hold 1390 and break 1560 to change this daily trend. It certainly held up better than CGC today. A little bit of a lower wick hourly time frame to change this trend, which is a bit of an equilibrium. We have to see a higher low and a bull break of 1498 and 1518 to begin shifting that momentum. So still holding on, the bulls have a chance here, but the bears have favor. The bears are still rejecting from exponential resistance. The bulls certainly are not proving much, and I'm just sitting here sticking to my trade game plan with a break-even stop under 1390. ACB weakness on the pullback. We topped out after a very significant bull move last week, keeping in mind that we have not changed any trends, or the daily trend, I should say. We broke a couple of resistances, but until we see the daily higher low and higher high, we don't have a trend change. So we're looking for a daily higher low to form. If the hourly RSI gets oversold, that's when I'm most comfortable looking for daily higher lows. And here, if 844 breaks tomorrow, we'll look for hourly RSI to get oversold as we approach 830. And then I would be interested in looking for that daily higher low to form. And we're going to look for a tightening range. Low of the pullback, high of the bounce, scouting the higher low, and then we would look for a lower high once we find that higher low, if we find that higher low. APHA, weakness creeping back in, close at the low of the day. 661 is the only support nearby, and we held it just by a penny. And if we break 661, the next support level is 624. Our new daily lower high is 713. Bears in complete control. TLRY, bears in complete control. Break of 44.31. Unable to break 51 after the bullish reaction initially to earnings. Unable to break it right here, dropping down, breaking support. Next support level on TLRY after 44.31 is limited. We're going back to when we first started trading, and I'm looking down at a gap of 44.37, which has filled. After 44.31, I'm looking at 39.35 as the next support level. Downtrend, very clearly still intact. So OGRMF, this was an easy play. There are times where we get setups that are gifts in the market, where it's free money essentially for those at least who are comfortable with trading and have seen this play out time and time again. It was just all the stars aligning for a really clear setup, as I talked about it in the weekend video. I was saying how it was so clear that you almost got to double check yourself because it seems too easy. But the setup was uplisting Tuesday, all-time high, only the US trading on Monday. What is the likelihood that we're going to see selling pressure on the US side of things the day before uplisting versus buying pressure? And the answer is buying pressure is much more likely. So because of that, on Friday, I had probably the largest position I've ever had in an OTC USMJ name because the position size matched my confidence. So I exited my entire position today, and I look at this daily chart, and you would say, why would you do that? And it's because it was my game plan. I would not be surprised to see some profit taking tomorrow. We have seen a massive bull move up, and really in the last 5 days, we've gone 25%. And we have the scenario where OGI is likely to see a gap up open to all-time highs tomorrow. Can the buying pressure on the US side of things on the NASDAQ, can that offset the selling pressure on the Canadian side? I don't know. I don't have that answer. But at this point, after riding this trade for a couple days, I wanted to lock in gains, and I'm very happy with those gains. And if it keeps running, that's great for the bulls. But I will have zero FOMO because I stuck to my trade game plan and I executed it, which is all we can ever hope to do. So we'll look at resistance of 850 psychological. If we do still see some continuation in tomorrow, have to be watching out for the potential of a volume climax approaching, and our first support level will be down at 826 and 815. And here's, I talk about team trading all the time and how trading with a team is what you should be doing because this is a team game, and if you're trading by yourself, in my opinion, that's a disadvantage. But I was selling at the end of the day, and I was selling into the bid, and the bid showed a bid of 100 shares, and I sold 5,000 shares multiple times into that 100 share bid, and it got completely absorbed. So that told me there were hidden bids keeping the price higher up or propped up, and if someone is sitting there in their position and doesn't have that information, that's a clue missing. But I could say to the chat room, hey, I just sold multiple 5,000 positions. It's not moving the bid an inch. I was selling a limit order at the bid, didn't move it an inch. It was completely absorbed, and that can be perceived as bullish information. And so there were people that potentially held on a bit longer knowing that there was bid support that was hidden there. So just a small example of some clues. Hexo. So Hexo's looking for the daily higher low. I believe we talked about this one in the weekend video as well. Looking for a higher low compared to 654, and now the bulls must break 740 to change this daily trend and give us a weekly higher low. So decent bounce off the low of the day. Can the bulls change this hourly trend and break $7 tomorrow? If we change the hourly trend, we're confident our daily higher low has been established, and then we'll be right back in the middle of the range. Support will be down at 665, will be 35 cents plus above support, and will be 40 cents below resistance right in the middle of the range if we can get over $7. So tightening daily setup bulls must change this trend. CTST. Anything above 552 is a daily high or low, but with a close at the low of the day, the weekly chart certainly looking like a bear flag, weak bounce attempt. We're fading back towards support, and it's not looking good for the bulls. For the bulls to shift that and change that, we'd have to break 552 or hold 552 and break 644 to change that daily trend. And it's just a clear hourly downtrend the last few days. Spike pre-market, we can ignore that. And just there's the regular trading downtrend that we are in. Resistance level 590. And if we break 580 from here, we're going to pull back to that daily support level. VFF had a strong start to the morning, but gave back most of those gains, closing at the low of the day on high bear volume. So it's attempting to be a bull flag, but my ideal kind of bull flag is when there's lower wicks of bulls buying the dip, as opposed to upper wicks of selling pressure or profit taking. So it is still technically a bull flag. The gap to fill is 1321, and we did fill that gap to the penny. So multiple gaps today on VFF and also on CGC. Filled to the penny. I missed that one. That was a nice one. Fill it to the penny and then rip 5%. So from there, we had a tightening range, and that's why we had a spike in bear volume by breaking the 15-minute uptrend at the end of the day. And now the question tomorrow is, can the bulls hold 1321? If we cannot, I would be looking down at 13 psychological, and anything under 1385 is just a lower high on the daily time frame, or on the hourly time frame. So CURLF for Curaleaf. Bulls buying the dip a bit here, trying to shift momentum. We've seen a lower high every day, 5 days in a row, and we have a double top at 988 and 990. If bulls can break 990, the start of the bounce is underway. The hourly time frame trying to level out a little bit, build a base in the mid $9 range and see a bounce. But if we break 990, we zoom out to the daily and we know just a daily lower high is likely to form, because anything under 1143 is a lower high, and that's over 15% away. So break that resistance level. It's a good sign for a bounce to be underway. I technically would consider this holding weekly support. We broke it by 3 pennies. That's close enough for me to be a double bottom at that level. So we are holding weekly support. Bulls want to see some nice follow through to try and give them space to form a higher low once we consolidate. I would say if this bounce, if we break 990 and cannot get over 1050 over the next couple days, that would be a weak bounce. If we can get over 1050, that opens up the possibility to maintain the support and form a higher low. And bears are looking at this as a head and shoulders pattern and looking for a right shoulder to form if we break 990, and then hoping that we come down and break 944 support. But one step at a time. Bulls have to break 990 tomorrow. ITHUF. Still slow fading. I have no interest in scaling in. My aggressiveness matches the bears. I'm oversold bounce plays. I'm more aggressive if the bears are more aggressive. Tesla today was a perfect example. Tesla broke 200 psychological support and dumped 2.5% instantly. I instantly scaled in as soon as I saw that weakness, and it ended up being a weak maker of a trade. ITHUF is doing a slow grind down. So I have no interest unless we pick up the speed and the momentum for the bears. The daily RSI is not even hitting oversold. The hourly RSI is not even hitting oversold. We're just seeing these little weak bounces, cooling things off. Look at the exponential resistance here, the 12 and 26 period on the hourly. We've now seen 4 days in a row, clearly with it marking the top and rejecting the price. So if we drop down closer to $4, I will begin to scale in. Same play as last time. I've already gone over that multiple times, so I'm not going to go over that again. But I am going to be keeping an eye out. I just have to see some conviction from the bears for me to be interested as a bull. ORHOF. This is for OH. We had a big bull move up, but we double topped at 888 and 889 and quickly faded back. So here's another one where the bulls are hoping to hold this support of 806. It's a double low. It's a head and shoulders type pattern as well. And at this point, the bulls definitely want to see a move over $9 to have the potential to keep that support level. But if that's as far as we get and we can't break 889, we're likely to break that support in the near term. So again, looking at it, we've been watching this from the 2-day time frame, and it's the potential of a head and shoulders pattern. And it looks a little bit different than OH because OH formed a higher low here, but you can see ORHOF clearly showing that 806 is the line in the sand that the bulls are defending with about 4 touches essentially holding that support. ZYNE is finally consolidating bearish reversal gravestone doji on Friday, following through today. So anything above 1135 is a higher low. We're going to be watching the daily exponential support, which has held multiple periods of consolidation, and tomorrow that's going to be roughly about 1360 or so. And if the hourly RSI gets close to oversold, if we were to drop down and break $14 tomorrow, hourly oversold conditions, looking for a daily higher low, is right up my alley. Hourly resistance is $14.95. Anything under that is a lower high, keeping the bears in control. IIPR, big pullback. Another bearish reversal candlestick Friday, confirming in a big way. That's a shooting star. I used to call it an inverted hammer, but I guess shooting star is the appropriate name. Either way, we close at the low of the day, but we got news after hours about closing on a property in Pennsylvania. Looks like it didn't have a significant effect, but this is the setup where I was going to be looking to play tomorrow. I still may. Depends on how we get the setup tomorrow morning, but I would be looking for a higher low on the daily compared to 78.73 with hourly oversold, and I like this pullback because it's straight. It's a straight shot down, no cooling off period of the hourly RSI, no little pause where the bears can catch a breather and regain their strength. The bears are exhausting themselves on this hourly chart, which is why I would be looking to get in for hourly oversold conditions to maintain the daily uptrend. Criteria number 1, daily looking for a higher low, a lot of space to work with. Criteria number 2, first hourly oversold conditions coming from the significant bull move last week. NCNNF, this is NRTH on the CSE. Bullish license news Friday after hours. Big bull break in 93. That was the go signal. That is the level that confirms the trend change here. And we had earnings after hours. So we have to be cautious, especially on a big move like this, because again, the Canadian name is going to wake up tomorrow and see a big gap up open. So we have to see how much selling pressure we get there. And now we have the factor, the curveball of earnings as well, and how we're going to react to that. But it's essentially a double bottom at 91 and a double top at 105. That is the range that I'm watching tomorrow. If 105 breaks, we look to 119. And if 91 breaks, we look to the low of the day. So 91 is a must-hold level, and we're going to likely break that range first thing tomorrow morning with this earnings reaction. Weekly time frame, big bull move. If we can't break 130, we'll look for a weekly tightening range to form. But all-time highs are in the picture now after such a big bull reaction to that license news. So that's where we stand in the sector overall. Some oversold bounce plays to be watching into tomorrow. Some strength like OGI to be watching into tomorrow. And again, have US and Canadian tickers up to be watching that action. It's going to be a bit of a balancing act the next couple of days as things settle in. And then towards the end of the week, we'll be back to normal. I appreciate you tuning in. I got a new picture. My buddy painted me a goat. Haven't shown you guys yet. It's a good one. Majestic goat, moon phases. Look into those eyes. It's a goat eye. At the end of the video here, we've got some clips from Drumstrong, the cancer organization charity event that I go to every year. It's been 10 years now. And certainly more low-key this time around. We used to do the whole festival, 3-day music scene, 30-hour-long drum circle. We'd have people like Keller Williams and who else? Toubab Crew. Some bands come out and play. And that was a lot of fun, but the local area high schoolers decided to use that as their prom party, and they would come get messed up, and they ruined all the fun for everybody. So we've dialed it back to a much more low-key, intimate event these days, and it's just during the day. We just drum for 6 hours, but it's still good to see all these same people that have been coming for over a decade in a row now. And it's a good old college reunion as well, as it is my college roommate and his family who have founded it. So I have this problem where I do things and I have my camera around, but I'm not used to having a camera. So all the cool things in life, I don't film. So I got all the low-key stuff, the start of the drum circle when it was really lazy and missed all the high-energy fun, but you get the idea. Do good things out there. We'll see you tomorrow.